Hello, beautiful people. I hope that you're all doing so well. I hope that you are thriving. I hope that you are taking care of yourself. And most importantly, I hope that you are having a fabulous 2024 so far. And a fabulous August and a fabulous everything. I hope that you are just feeling fabulous in general. Hi. If you didn't know where you were, because I certainly don't these days, you are here with me in my car driving home listening to the Doing Life with Love and Magic podcast. I'm your host, Ndwenhle, and this is the space whereby I like to chat shit, where I like to share my life's perspective as I navigate clumsily through my 20s, because my 20s are almost over. I literally had a whole moment the other day, and I was like, shit, next year I'm turning 27, and then I have 3 years until I turn 30, and then the journey will be all about navigating my 30s clumsily. Like, imagine. So anyway, the whole reason why I do this is because, like, I just feel like the 20s are such a magical time, and as someone that likes to really, like, I don't know, I just like to ponder on life sometimes, and I love this whole shit of, like, trying to become the best version of you and really, like, making the most out of discovering yourself, especially, like, in your 20s. And granted, as a human being, you never, like, fully stop learning, especially when it comes to yourself. You surprise yourself all the time. But I feel like 20s is kind of where the majority of the self-discovery happens, and this is where you build the base for better things to come. And I mean, if you can hear that truck outside and it's vroom vrooming, I'm guessing that's like the confirmation that we needed from the universe to say, yep, that's exactly that. But yeah, guys, despite the long intro, it's been a hot minute. It has been a long ass fucking time since I recorded a podcast episode. Yeah, and I feel like I'll get into where I've been, what's been happening, why I've been gone for such a long time, but it feels good to be back, and it's kind of weird at the same time. And I actually don't even know if there's anyone that would still be listening to this podcast at this time period, but I just feel like the need to share is kind of back. But yeah, anyway, let's start at the beginning. Why was I gone for so long? Guys, life has been lifing. I have a new job. I'm literally like finding my feet and my identity in my new space. I guess you could say. I feel like I've just been, it's been 3 months now that I've been in my new role, and I've kind of just been adjusting to being in a new environment and kind of like, I guess, learning to be without my comfort zones in a sense. And it's still pretty hard. And there's certain things that I'm just like, but babes, you were doing this before. Why does it feel so hard now that you're on the other side? Like, why does it feel hard? Like it's giving, you forgot everything that you used to do and you're relearning this shit. Whereas literally like 3 months ago, you probably were doing the same thing. But I don't know. I just feel like I freak myself out, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Meanwhile, deep down inside, I probably do know. So that's kind of been like the gist of it, is just kind of settling into my new role, understanding new things. And I just feel like sometimes the concentration can only be so much onto one thing, and kind of processing being in this new space. In terms of how I'm liking it and how I'm enjoying it, it was very different from my old job. Lots more responsibility, but in a way, I kind of fucks with it. I kind of like it. It just feels great. And I mean, sometimes it's a blessing and a curse, but it feels amazing to have a little pot of space, I guess, that I'm responsible for. If shit goes south, and I had something to do with it, it's my fault. If shit goes right, it's exciting because it's like I'm a part of that. Like I oversaw that. Like I had my finger in the pot when it comes to that. And it's just been like really cool. It's been quite hectic in terms of like the volume of work within the short time span I've been, on this. But at the same time, I find myself from time to time, like when things are a bit hectic, and I'm like, this is a lot, but at the same time, it's kind of exciting because I'm like this is like, you get to kind of own this space and you get to kind of make it what you feel would be cool. Okay, granted, like there are many factors that could influence how it turns out at the end of the day, but for a large part of it, I'm responsible for kind of the direction in which it goes, kind of. And then everyone else gets to build it up and make it the great thing. But it's really cool, it's really exciting. I've got amazing humans around me who are so knowledgeable and so helpful and really on top of their shit and know their shit. And I feel like every single day I've got something to learn from them. Like one day, as long as I keep paying attention and trying the best that I can, one day I'm hoping to be as confident and as yes, this is it, this is how it is, know the things as they are, if that makes sense. So I think I'm in a really cool space and I get to learn from really amazing people. So I'm really excited to see what the next couple of months, years, whatever it may be, have in store. And yeah, that's kind of the tea on that. And just in context of finding or navigating this new space, obviously I don't have my usual crew around me, so I'm okay, now it's time to unwind and be weird and goofy around new people. And I think that took me a hot minute to kind of get there, but slowly but surely I feel those parts of my personality are coming out. It was bound to happen at some point. I think once I start feeling comfortable, then I'm just okay, we're kind of safe to be ourselves now. Whoop, just let a comment slide. Oh, where did that come from? It just happens now. So yeah, that's been cool. And then yeah, that's kind of one aspect of it. And then just taking a step back and looking at my overall life picture, just in terms of okay, cool, we have changed this part of our life which we felt for the longest period of time needed a little bit of work. Great, we've accomplished that, we've ticked that off. Now what do we do? What is the next step? And I feel the next step is definitely looking at life in general. And I feel this has been coming up for me a lot, and it's actually time that I started doing something about it. And I think it kind of all stemmed from when I went to my first Reiki healing a couple of weeks ago. I want to say 2 weeks ago. And oh my gosh, okay, deep dive into how that went and what kind of spurred that. So July, is that the month we've just come from? That was a hell of a month for me, because randomly out of the blue, how do I even explain this? I even still get stumped to this day when I think about it. But literally, I remember I was having a great weekend with my sibling and my friend. We had met up for an event. We danced, we partied, met some people. It was great. and I was fine. And then Monday came around, cool, I was fine. Tuesday, for some reason, I woke up and my foot was in pain. Like, I've never experienced such pain like that in my entire life. Like, I'm talking, it was hard for me to put my foot on the ground. It was hard for me to touch my foot. It was hard for me to, like, put my foot in a shoe. Like, it was just absolutely terrible. And I was like, okay, I don't know, maybe I did something to it. I don't know. It was just weird. Ended up going for an x-ray, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna need to be in a cast. How will I go to pole? But like, my pole instructor, like, she, you know, when she has a cast on her foot, she still manages to do pole, so I should be fine. Like, myriad of things went through my mind. X-ray comes back and like, nothing's broken, everything's fine, but like, I'm still in a shit ton of pain. So get prescribed, like, I didn't really get prescribed, but my doctor was like, listen, just go get some anti-inflammatories over the counter, you'll be fine. Get the anti-inflammatories, was on them for a week. My mother was just not having it. She's like, you need an injection, this is not okay. And mind you, my medical aid savings are like gone with the wind already. So I was like, trying to be conservative, and I'm like, no, let my body heal, let her do what she needs to do. I trust her, she's a strong woman. But now, like, I feel like for a week my foot was just like not getting any better. I was taking these anti-inflammatories. They were helping a little bit, but not too much. My foot was swollen. My toes were swollen. Like, it was just so random. And like, I couldn't walk properly at work. And like, everyone was so sweet though. Like, they were like, you need to elevate that foot. I don't know why you're walking around in the office like this. Like, I was wearing Crocs everywhere. Like, it was just absolutely wild. Eventually, my doctor put me on some stronger anti-inflams, and that seemed to do the trick. And then I had also gone and got some Epsom salt, so I like tried to alleviate some of the pain by doing that, because I just heard like apparently it sucks out all the toxins or something along those lines. I did a lot of like icing in the second week, I think, and elevation, and I just feel like that helped so much. And like, by the end of the second week, my foot was pretty much back to normal, except it started peeling. And then I was like confused, because I'm like, okay, you've gone from being heavily inflamed and like super painful, could not fit my foot into a sneaker, to now she's peeling. Like, make it make sense. Like, granted, I still went to pole during that time, which was probably not smart, but to this day I still don't know like what could have possessed my body to be in that much pain for that period of time. Like, I literally couldn't go to gym. It was the most frustrating thing ever. But anyway, literally just after that whole saga happened, I get sick, and the sickness lasted for like 2 weeks as well. Like, I've never had like a flu have me in a chokehold like that, as in I was like nasally. I feel like I only started getting unnasally like, I want to say a week and a half ago maybe, because I could still hear it in my voice. But literally nasally, couldn't breathe, throat, was my throat sore? Like a little bit at the beginning, but like I was just not doing well. It was not great. And I don't know, I felt like I needed something. Like, I don't know what possessed me to do a Reiki. I think I was just doing some research, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I've been wanting to do a Reiki session low-key for the longest period of time. Like, I watch those YouTube videos where they do it over like, you know, the computer screen, and like, it feels nice for like when I want to fall asleep and stuff like that. Like, it's cool, but I wanted to experience it in person. So I did a little bit of research, and I ended up like finding this lady, and her reviews were absolutely amazing. And I'm like, okay, she seems like she would be my vibe. So I reach out to her, and then like end up booking the session, and it's like at her house, and I go, and I'm like nervous anticipation now, don't know what's gonna happen. Eventually I get to her house, and she is so nice. She's walking around barefoot. She's like, okay, I'm grounding myself, like, just FYI. She's like, yeah, oh, excuse me. She's like, yeah, my dog is here, just letting you know. Cutest little dog, most well-behaved dog you've ever seen. Like this Great Dane, so cute. Literally so well trained in the sense that she was like, okay, you are not allowed to leave this area, sir. That dog stayed in that area the whole time. Like, he would peek his head through just to be like, Mom, are you still there? And then she's like, okay, no, baby, like, I'm working, like, you can't come through here. That dog understood that message. She's like, okay, cool, I'll check in later. So cute, so precious. And then like with her, we just chatted, and like I really didn't know what to expect. Like, genuinely speaking, I didn't know. So I'm just like, here we're having fat chat. She's telling me about this place that she went to, and I'm like, okay, girl, this sounds amazing. She's like, you should go, like, it's a magical place. I'm like, yes, put that down in my list of things to do for sure. And then we just end up like chatting for a good minute, and then she's like, okay, cool, here's the form, just like fill in some of the things. It was like, you know, have you experienced any trauma recently, and like that your body might be holding on to. And it's so weird because like in that moment, off the top of my head, I'm like, trauma. I mean, what do people classify as like a hectic trauma? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, recently, like long time ago, because like, you know, sometimes, I don't know, I think for me, when I go through like inverted commas traumatic experiences, I don't necessarily like categorize them as traumatic unless like I'm looking back in hindsight. And in that moment, I didn't like, nothing necessarily came up to me as like this moment was specifically traumatic for me, you know. But in the past year, maybe past 2 years, like there've been like one or two things here and there that could be categorized as like traumatic, but they don't necessarily register. And I feel like it's also like, okay, cool, like, but that happened so long ago. But she literally said like, listen, sometimes there are certain things that the body holds on to that it considers like traumatic, and it comes up in like weird, wonderful and strange ways, which is actually so true. And then like I'm only like, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, actually shit, like there's a couple of things that could be registered as trauma, like the time where I crashed my car into a pole. Like even in therapy, like when I had spoken about it, like my therapist was like, oh my gosh, why are you saying that like in such a chilled way? And I'm like, oh well, I just crashed my car into a pole at work, you know, that happens to people, right? Yeah, that also like it went into like a whole different discussion on like, you are very like, no, it's fine, it's okay. Meanwhile, it's not fine, it's not okay. Like there are things that I have seen with my two eyes that I don't necessarily like talk about, and maybe I should. Not me divulging my trauma onto you. But yeah, so there was like that conversation and other like NDA related things, I guess you could say. And then she's like, okay, cool, hop onto the table, like make sure you're warm, like I'm gonna be like sensing your energy type thing. And it was like the most interesting experience ever, and I low-key want to do it again. Like I genuinely low-key want to do it again. But anyway, so she, you know, does all the Reiki things. I don't know the proper terminology. It's not something that I'm 100% familiar with and like have read into. But so she's doing all the hand gestures, she's moving her hand over my body, and she's like, your energy is very scattered. And I was like, that sounds like me. It's giving Gemini. I am very scattered, just in terms of like even how I think. Like, I'll be on 500 different things at the same time. Like, it's a wonder how I get anything done sometimes. Like, it's genuinely concerning. Like, I don't know, I just feel like for the longest time I've been like, okay, cool, doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, like, and I feel like in order to make more use of my time, it's very important for me to be like, okay, stay here, do this, move on to the next thing. But like, it's something I genuinely do struggle to do. And I just feel like I also, like, before I came into my new job, I feel like I didn't make a concentrated effort to take some time off to rest in between me ending the one job and starting the next one. That was number one. Number two, I never fully like cleansed myself of the previous work energy, honestly. So I feel like in some ways I was bringing that vibe over to this side. And maybe that's why I need to go for my little energy cleansing again, because like, I don't want no cycles of how I used to be following me into my new job. Already it's feeling like it might be. And I'm like, I don't want to be the problem. I don't like that. But yeah, shit. We're trying our best. We're trying our best. What can I say? That's all we can do. So now, so she's like doing the hand gestures, telling me my energy scattered. And then the other thing, and it will forever stick with me, and it's probably also what's kickstarted this like questioning again about like, what am I doing in life in general? Like, now that we've got the job things out of the way, what else are we doing to make life more interesting? So she tells me, she's like, your soul is also very tired. Like, I get the sense that you're asking yourself, like, when is it going to end type of thing, and like you just feel tired. And like, it just made me feel so like teary-eyed. I like, because I genuinely sometimes feel that way, honestly. And I honestly feel like it's from a lack of really like finding things that, or like making the time to do things that light me on fire. If I think about how my day is generally set up, the time that I make for myself is like, okay, in the morning I will go to gym, like let's say 4 out of 5, like 4 to 5 times a week, maybe, if I feel like it, right? And then I go to work for the majority of the day. I come home, takes me like about 45 minutes to drive home. I come home, it's like 6 o'clock. When I get home, I'm like eating, then I'm washing dishes, which takes a bit of time, which, I mean, I split the responsibility with my brother, fine. Then I pack up or like wash whatever from my gym session, pack my clothes in for the next day, and there's barely any time to like do anything fun or interesting or make something or like play or like feed back into myself, you know, if I'm really truly being honest. And then on the weekends I feel exhausted because I've had a long week, so I want to rest. Like, the only thing that like really makes me feel excited is when I go and I swing from the poles on a Saturday morning. Like, that makes me feel happy and excited. It makes me feel like I'm playing, I'm trying something new, like I'm enjoying life in a sense. And I mean, last weekend I did do something that I thought was quite lovely. My brother and I went to the beach, got some ice cream, and it was giving wholesome. I absolutely loved it. So, I mean, that kind of here and there, we do that kind of stuff. But for the most part, during the week, which is like majority of the time, I feel like it's not that like, I'm also like conscious of saying like I don't have time, I don't actively make time to, do something that really makes me feel excited. Like, some of the things that I have been trying out, like in terms of like challenging myself in a sense, is, so the Duolingo bug has like bit me and currently I'm learning some French and some Italian on Duolingo. And initially it was just for funsies. Like, French is something that I always wanted to learn when I was in high school. I don't know why I didn't take it. But now that I'm slightly older and I have like a little bit of time, and Duolingo is like 5-minute like French lessons, it's not anything that deep. So now that there's that, I'm like, okay, cool, like let's challenge ourselves a little bit. And now I'm thinking about it, and with the whole like, restructuring of my finances and all of that, like I'm making more of a concentrated effort to funnel money into pockets like, gifts, vacations specifically, but not necessarily like vacations. It's more like experiences and all of that. So like experiences, and then like obviously investments, my future apartment, that sort of thing. Like, I want to have pockets of money available for those types of things. So when I feel like, okay, cool, I want to have an experience that's aligned with like travel, for example, then I know that I've got a bucket of money that I can pull that from, and we can go on our merry way. And right now, I feel like in the upcoming year, I'm really wanting to take a trip like outside of the country, which is really scary for me because, number one, like depending on my mood or depending on my headspace, sometimes like travel can be very claustrophobic for me. Like, for example, I took my car to service last week, and like I was really chill, like sitting in the back seat doing a little bit of work, and it was fine. And then after we had dropped off everyone and I was still sitting in the back seat trying to do my work, I started feeling like my panic attack coming on. And sometimes when I experience my panic attack, like I just want to move. Like, I want to get moving to distract myself from the fact that I feel constricted. So I literally told the man, we were on the freeway, I was like, I'm feeling a little bit sick, a little bit like lightheaded, because I was also feeling that way as well. I don't know if you ever get like motion sickness when you like trying to, like, I don't know, when you're trying to like work or like read while in the car, but you can feel the motion of the car. And also, I'm not really used to sitting in the back seat anymore. Like, I'm used to driving, so I maybe don't feel it as often, but like sitting in the back seat does not work for me anymore. Like, it makes me feel ill actually. So sometimes I get that on flights, and it's not like the flights that I be catching are the longest. At most it'll be like 2 hours, but like sometimes I get that feeling of like paranoia, of like wanting to get up and get some fresh air, but I can't because I'm in this entrapped space. It's not necessarily like, in essence, I'm afraid of flying or driving, but sometimes I just get that feeling of like, oh gosh, this is like terrifying for me. I don't know, and I feel like sometimes it can be stress related for me. If I'm thinking of another like version of it that's come up for me, like before I left my old job, I remember I was going into work and I was stuck in some hectic traffic and it was not moving, and I got this feeling of like panic attack, and I wanted to get out the car in the traffic, and I was like, okay, breathe, and I was like, okay, the aircon is not working for me. I tried to put on music, was it music or was it podcast? I tried to put something on to distract me. It wasn't working. I ended up opening all the windows, despite that there were these creepy men looking at me trying to make kissy faces, and it was disgusting. But yeah, sometimes I get that. So the idea of going to a different country excites me. Where I get a little bit panicked is will I get a panic attack while I'm on the flight? Because it's not like a quick 2-hour flight. Like, you have to be in that bitch for the longest time, you know? So that's like just one of the concerns for me. But I'm like, what if I just take like a calming pill, like a rescue or something? Like, will that help me? Do I try that on the next flight that I'm on? I don't know. And heaven forbid we experience some turbulence. I will literally die. I won't die, but like the panic attack might be real. But on the serious notes, I don't know where I picked up panic attacks from. Like, I genuinely don't know. I just feel like sometimes when I'm stressed, they come on. But even I could be so chill and the thought will just creep up on me and hit me. And sometimes I'm able to like cope with it and deal with it and like breathe through it. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, and then I panic and I think, oh my gosh, like, what if someone can see that I'm panicking and freaking out? Like, am I weird for wanting to go to the bathroom and walk up and down? Like, you know? Yeah, those are the things to think about. But I just really do want to be in a different space. And then it brings on the thoughts of, okay, would I go alone? Would that not make me panic a lot more? But I'm just like, also, I'm getting older now. Like, I need to start stepping out of my comfort zones and stuff. Like, if it's not a like international flight this year or an international trip this year, is it a local trip where I get to like have fun and be with myself and do things that make me feel happy? You know, that was a very long tangent, but essentially that Reiki moment, and when she told me that your soul is very tired, like, did spark a little bit of that for me, where I'm just like, fuck, like, am I just like, what am I doing? Like, am I also making an effort to find things that light me on fire? And also, if I'm finding the majority of my time is spent doing menial things like packing my lunch for the week, how can I make that easier for myself? Like, do I start doing meal prepping like on a Sunday afternoon? I know that's what I'm dedicating my time to doing, is just meal prepping for the rest of the week, so that I know that frees up a little bit of time for me, like during the week, to actually fit in things that I do love. And then also, I don't want to overwhelm myself by giving myself all of these tasks to do within a given week. But like, I haven't really given it much thought as to what else would you like to do, you know, that, okay, doesn't necessarily have to like make an income or some shit. Like, what genuinely makes you feel happy and like content and, you know, gives you your spark? And I kind of like, okay, from the Reiki, let's wrap that up so I can tell you like how I felt after. I felt so calm after. I actually felt like I could go to bed. I didn't fall asleep because we were chatting during the session, but like in the car, as I was driving back home, I was like, oof, I am like on a high. Like, I feel like I could just pass out right here and there. And then I stopped for some reason. I think I wanted to see if the wellness shop was open, because I can't remember what I wanted, but there was something. And then I stopped and I immediately started feeling emotional, and I was like crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm crying. She did say like there were like effects such as that, and like flu-y type effects as well. Then I got home, I took a nap. And I feel like between my nap and the rest of the day, I ended up journaling. And if I can tell you, I literally journaled like 5 pages. Things I didn't even think I was thinking about came out. Like how I felt about my love life, romance, where I was. Because there's this guy that was like, I I guess, pursuing me in a sense. And I was like, oh, he's such a nice guy. But I just don't feel it. Like, I feel overwhelmed by his pursuit. Despite me wanting to be in a long-term committed relationship, like, I didn't want that attention from him. And it just had me questioning, okay, I'm feeling a lot of resistance towards this. Like, this person is doing what I should be finding, like, attractive. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just because it's him, or is it maybe I really don't feel like I'm ready to be receiving, like, romantic affection into my life. Like, what do I need to work on? Why do I feel like there's some resistance in that area for me, you know? So I literally journaled my little heart out, cried real tears while I did it, and I felt so much better after that. And I was like, okay, cool, I know what I need to do. And because I was also really conflicted about what to do about that situation. Like, I just felt like I was such a bitch, because like, he would send me these lovely, like, messages, honestly, and I either wouldn't feel compelled to respond, or I'd respond late, or I just couldn't meet him with that same energy. And I feel like everyone deserves someone that's going to give them that energy. Like, I can't imagine feeling necessarily good about myself if I was trying to pursue someone and I just wasn't getting that same energy in return, you know? So, like, my initial instinct, like, maybe 2-3 years ago would have been to ghost and be a cow to said person. But in spirit of wanting, you know, people to be clear on where they stand with me and not necessarily have any conflicting or bad blood with them, I literally told him how I felt. And I said, listen, I think you are a great person, but I just don't think I'm in the space to receive this, you know? And luckily he understood. He's a really nice person. But it just, you know, made me realize that there were certain people that I was still hanging on to that I hadn't fully released. And also there was just some resistance that I needed to work through on my side. Like, despite me actually reaching out to said people because they were actually really heavy on my mind, I at the end of the day, I've come to realize that it's not necessarily about them, but it's also just like, I guess, questioning myself from a subconscious level. Like, what do I believe about, like, this aspect of my life? And also, like, who gives a shit about my love life right now? Like, am I having fun in my life in general? Like, am I having a good time with myself? So I think it's kind of, in a way, sparked this whole new, like, journey of, like, self-love and, like, really, truly loving myself and loving my life. And not just saying that for the sake of saying it. Like, I mean, truly, honestly, like, loving me and accepting me for all of my good parts and all of my bad parts. I feel like there's some things that I still believe about myself that it might be impacting, like, that part of my life, not necessarily always going the smoothest. And I feel like this is now my time to actually sit with myself and be like, okay, babes, like, what is going on? What can we work on? And also, how can we make our life like an adventure? Like, how can we make it fun and just have the best time? Like, we don't need to be in a relationship, but we need to be enjoying our lives. Now that we fixed, like, a part of our life that's like a huge portion of it, like, what are we doing around that? You know, where's the party? Where's the vibe? I'm not saying I must be going and being crazy every weekend, but I'd like to bring that spark in. Like, I feel like I'm missing my spark. And ever since my Reiki session, I've been journaling so much. Like, I haven't journaled this much in a long ass fucking time. And I honestly feel like I needed it so I could kind of come to terms and come to grips with what's really going on with my mind and my soul, and what's going on. And yeah, it's gonna take a hot minute for me to get to the bottom of it. But like literally her saying your soul feels tired and like it struck a nerve. Like I actually cried about it because I was like, why the fuck does it sound so true? But yeah, so that in itself was a whole thing. Like that in itself was like a whole thing. So yeah. So from then on, I feel like I've kind of stepped away a little bit from like overindulging in YouTube. I'm kind of more on my like journal phase, listen to podcast phase, like even like my financial guru. I've kind of stepped away from that a little bit. And what I've really been loving lately, and I'm trying not to overindulge in it so I don't get over it so quickly, but Bria Jones has literally recently become my shit. Like, I've come to like love her content. I feel like I subscribed to her YouTube video like maybe a year or two ago, but never actually really watched them for some reason. But now that I know that she's got a podcast, it's called Because I Love You. I think that's what it's called. I've been listening to her. Like, she goes great. She like her content has been like so comforting in a sense. I don't know if we're just on the same wavelength or whatever, but like the podcasts that I've listened to like cover things like shit man, what is this thing called, like lymphatic drainage, that sort of thing. So she was just talking about some of the things that she does to like I don't know, just like wellness, like body things, like how to eat better, like how to be in a better mental space. Like the one episode that really resonated with me was one that I listened to, I want to say, was it yesterday or the day before that? But she was just talking about like magnetism, and I think this kind of like sparked that thing again of like, okay, we need to be making our life fun. But like literally she was just talking about magnetism and how it's so important to be like on a high frequency. And oh my gosh, I feel like I had it somewhere. I don't know if I had screenshotted it here, but she said something and it actually made me want to cry. Oh, okay. Yes, I did. So I'm paraphrasing now. Where is it? So I'm just going to read it from here. So she said, it's really hard. Get a life with so much love and light. Get a life. Go touch grass. Go do something. Go find a hobby. Enjoy your life, because the more that you are having fun, the more that you are enjoying your life, you are making yourself more magnetic, because having fun makes you high vibrational. Yeah. And I was like, just the way that she said it, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I agree. Have fun, touch grass. That's what I want to do. So, yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at the moment. I'm just like experimenting, making plans. The one thing that I really think I will do though is do a solo staycation for a few days. Like, I love my family, but I just feel like I need a few days without them. I just feel like I need to be in my space. I need to practice for when I have an apartment. And it's not like I want to do anything crazy, but like I literally want some space to be able to cook for myself, to go out onto the beach and like spend the weekend. Like I just want a weekend without having to deal with all the shit related to home. Not that there's a hectic amount, but I just want a few days of that. And I feel like I would like to gift myself that this year, since I didn't get to do it last year. Just a few days of being away with me and spending some time with me and like doing cute things with myself, like taking myself out for like a coffee. Like I've been trying to do that a little bit more. Like last week was a hectic week, so it was really great for me to be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. I don't feel like sleeping, but I will wake up extra early and go for a coffee. That coffee was terrible. Actually, it wasn't a coffee, it was a chai. And I love a good chai, like latte. But I don't know what it was, but it was watered down and it was way too spicy. It just wasn't great. So, like, I've just been trying to listen in terms of, like, what I need. And also to just, like, write down my feelings. Like, I just feel like maybe also I haven't been connecting with my feelings as much. I feel like I've cried so much more recently, and I think it's just because like I haven't tapped in. And also it could just be that I'm hormonal, I'm on my period. But that has nothing to do with anything. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. But I guess I'm just using like the period thing for this week. I feel like in the past week I've been very like emotional, as in like I've been feeling aggressive, and I don't know if it's also like Mercury in retrograde in there, but like feeling more aggressive than usual, and also a little bit more emotional. But just in general, I feel like for the past like month or so I have cried a lot more than I have in a while. And I feel like that's a good thing. I need to be back in touch with my feels. And I need to be just knowing like what's going on a subconscious level. I think that's just what I need. Just to unpack my feelings, what triggers certain things. Like, how do I really feel about certain things deep down inside? I just need to be honest with myself. And so, long story short, I guess my challenge to you this week is to be honest with yourself. Like, really get real about which part of your life is really impacting you. The thing that I loved that Bria had mentioned is that, like, we have the power to basically, like, change an aspect of our life that we're not 100% like happy with. Like, one of her pet peeves, and I feel like sometimes it can be quite what's the word I'm looking for, it can be quite a privileged thing to do or say, like, because I genuinely understand that it can be hard. Like, and anyway, what she was saying is one of her pet peeves is like when people like constantly complain about something, but yet don't really make much of an effort to change it. Like, I'm exactly the same, especially if I'm close to you and you keep coming to me about your issues and you're not really doing anything to change it. Like, then I'm like, well, bitch, I can't help you. Like, I've told you how many times, like something needs to happen and you're not doing it. So I don't know what to tell you after that. I do understand in certain circumstances it can be hard, but I do feel like I agree with her when she says we do have the power to change like certain aspects of our lives. Like, I know sometimes I complain about being single, but at the same time I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to make yourself unsingle then? Like, really, what's the tea? And like, as much as I know that I allow myself to go out on dates with people and chat to people, like, I know I give myself that allowance to do that, but I feel like I have the capacity right now to do it at a very superficial level. And I know that superficial is not what I want long term. That's not going to help create the type of relationship that I want. But I know it's only superficial because there's something blocking me from getting much deeper and attracting the kind of depth and person that I want. So there has to be something from me at a subconscious level that I need to work through. And that's one of the things Bria said as well. Like, sometimes to be magnetic to the things that you want, you kind of also have to question what you believe on a subconscious level. Like, if you can see or feel that there's like resistance in certain areas of your life, like, you need to get really deep and honest with yourself as to why that part of it really isn't working. Because sometimes, literally on the surface level, we might think that we're cool with something, or we might like logically know something about a specific situation. Like, for example, if we know that we want a money, right? And on the surface level, it's like, I know I'm going to use the same example that she did, like $1 million. Like, I know I want $1 million, and I like $1 million. Who doesn't? But on a subconscious level, you have been programmed to see having $1 million as a bad thing because of maybe the beliefs that you've been told as you've been growing up, or what society says, or, you know, all of that stuff. And it's that subconscious mind that's actually responsible for how you react and like kind of like what you attract when it comes to those things. And it's also like linked to like self-concept in a way. Like, once you fix your self-concept around certain ideologies or certain like topics and all of that, then the resistance to it kind of, you know, reduces. But I don't know, like, I know that when it comes to relationships, I think I have a little bit of work to do. As much as I might not like to admit it and think I'm absolutely wonderful and amazing, I know that there's certain things that I believe about myself that might hinder me from being able to attract the kind of relationship that I logically in my mind do want. But what I know I want might not be matching with what I actually believe about what I deserve. And that's like kind of a conversation that I had with myself earlier this morning. I was like, actually, sometimes I genuinely feel like I don't deserve to have a healthy relationship, like deep down inside, because I'm just like, I don't know, I guess there's certain mistakes that I've made in my lifetime as a human from just being inexperienced. Like, is it really inexperienced? Just like, I don't know, just from being selfish, I guess. And I'm like, do selfish people deserve to get what they want? And like, for the longest of times, like, my mom always told me that selfish people are bad people. So therefore, I feel like in my mind, I've equated to having a relationship like that as bad because I maybe perceive myself as selfish. But anyway, that's me projecting my shit onto you. At the end of the day, guys, just introspect. And just ask yourself, are you really having fun in life? Like, let's work on being better, and let's take self-love and self-care from being a superficial thing to, like, I don't know, a real thing. Like, I just want to have real love for myself. And I think that's what I need more than I need a relationship right now, is to really, like, be in love with myself. Like, I need to be able to look in the mirror and feel that, like, bitch, I love you. I would do anything for you. Like, that love as a teenager that I was willing to give to that stupid boy that did some weird shit, like, I need to direct that at myself, where I'm like, I will do anything for you that you ask me, like, anything that you ask me for. If you want me to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, I will do it for you because you want it. Like, the world is yours. Like, I am but your humble servant. Like, I love you. You are, like, and I understand you at the same time. Like, I love you even when you're having a shitty day and you're being a bitch and you're flipping off everyone. Like, I need to show myself that I'm capable of giving myself that love before I'm ready to, like, accept it from someone else, essentially. Like, I need to show myself what it means to be in love with me, if that makes sense. Because I'm like, what is it to, like, what is it to love me? Like, what does it mean when I say I want to be like loved? And can I receive that love from myself? You know? I don't know. I'm just rambling now. But anyway, guys, please take care of yourselves. Literally be nice to yourself. Give yourself a compliment. Like, take it easy on yourself. And yeah, this was kind of fun. I hope that you had fun. We will chat soon. And don't forget, everything that you do in this life, do it with love and a sprinkling of magic. And hopefully we shall catch up soon, because I love to do this shit. And I enjoyed myself when I was doing this. So I'm going to try to get back into it. Right. Okay, bye. Chat to you later.